How's it going, everybody? This is Griever here, bringing you guys the latest behind the bar reviews. This week's chapter of Seven Deadly Sins, also known as Nanatsu no Taizai, is chapter 280, entitled Collapse. Now, the beginning of the cover page and stuff, and I'll admit right here, just for a quick rundown, is that I was wrong about the wings thing as far as Estamale is concerned. I thought after the last attack that he dealt, we'd see him only with a pair of wings. But he still seems to maintain the double angel and double demon wings on his back during this whole chapter, and he doesn't seem to lose them at any point. So maybe that's going to happen down the line, maybe it was an artistic decision, but either way, I stick to my guns saying that the wings are a representation of the amount of power he's used, and I'm still under the impression that we will eventually see him lose one on each side again until he's kind of out of power. Because remember, this is an unstable fusion. It's very unstable. It's 4 or 5 commandments all lodged in, well, it's 4 commandments, all lodged in to an archangel's body who has had memory manipulation. It's all screwed up. It really is. So, anyways, the cover page of this chapter I really liked because it showed waiting in nirvana, which we kind of had hints to before. Waiting in nirvana are the ones that believe that the king should rise, sort of idea. And this, right away, I'm not sure if I'm happy about this or not. I mean, we all kind of knew that Oslo was dead after this attack, regardless what it did to Mael. All it ended up really doing was, sacrificing himself to take one love ball attack. That's basically all that happened. There was nothing with the dimensions or anything like that I thought might happen. No, it was just, kind of what Hawk did against Henriksen with the whole Dark Nebula, Dark Snow mixed into a dead-end attack. That's all it was. It was just a one-off, sacrifice the animal sort of idea, which sucks. But the cover page kind of spoils this idea because we see Gloxinia and Helbram and then Oslo at the very forefront saying, waiting in nirvana for their king sort of idea. And good cover page, really good, but it already said that Oslo was dead. And we kind of knew it. Rose's storyline was at an end, and Oslo himself, as his own character, didn't have much of a storyline to go off of anyways. So it makes sense, but still a little like jumping the gun there, but still a great cover page. Now, we do see that King tries to catch Oslo when they realize that everything's happening. We see Oslo's body, burnt up body, falling, and he says, Chastfold, catch him. But of course, the seal of silence is still on his back, so he can't do it. Now Deanne manages to reach out and catch Oslo's body and lay him down in front of King. And of course, we have a very tear-felt moment, a very... I watched the end of the first season of Seven Deadly Sins before I made this video just to try to get into the emotion, because when Hawk died and Bond got so upset and things like that, and Elizabeth, it really spoke to me at the time. So I tried to get back into that type of emotional state, and I can really see this because during watching the ending for that portion, I also saw the time that King had to kill Helbram not once, not twice, 3 times. Way in the past, he had to do it once, he had to take him down, then he had to kill him, then he had to kill him again, and it's just like, my God, King, you poor, unfortunate bastard, seriously, this has so much martyr written all over it, and the entire time you're just feeling for him. Now, this, of course, Mael is not affected, and Mael just, he's like, I don't care. I'm going to just charge up another love ball attack. And this is where everyone's like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Elizabeth is slowly, just before the attack happens, seems to be dissipating the seal of silence so she can reject the power of the commandments. Once again, Elizabeth is like a Joker card or a Trump card or something like that. Not Trump in the American asshole way, but a Trump as in, yeah. So she seems to be like Archangel level, but her own separate entity, because she seems to be able to dispel this seal of silence. a technique that probably is unprecedented. Yes, it has the core of the commandments ability intact, but this is from a fusion between an archangel and commandments, and this is a whole new technique, but she still managed to dispel it. And during this, Deanne realized this at the last minute and was able to summon Gideon, kind of like Thor's hammer. Gideon answered my call, and she used Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod being an ability where she stamps it into the ground and uses it to attract all magical attacks into the Gideon, and it disperses throughout the earth. Hawk brings up a very interesting point. I'm glad he did, because I plan to go through, a lot of Seven Deadly Sins lore trying to figure out if this technique had been used before, but Hawk beat me to the punch, which is great because then I didn't have to do all this research to figure out that Lightning Rod was not an ability showcased ever before. This is a brand new technique that she's been using. Hawk brings up this point by saying you have this great original. It's kind of a fourth wall break, kind of the author saying, yeah, I know it's a bit BS, but, I got my reason, I didn't think of it at the time, sort of idea. It makes sense for the character and the holy ornament or legendary treasure, sacred treasure, Gideon, but Hawk does bring up the point saying, you had this original great technique that you've never showcased, not even once in all the battles we've been in. You didn't think this might be a useful ability. And this is where Elizabeth already knows the effect. And it's kind of a cop-out, once again, it's a kind of a retcon right after introducing the ability, simply to explain away why she hasn't used it for 279 chapters, why we've only seen it till now, is the fact that when she disperses all that magical power, it has to go somewhere. And this, it makes sense. Lightning Rod disperses into the ground, but the attack and the magnitude and the killing capability of the attack does not disperse. All it does is go through the ground, kind of like a conduit. Now, I am an electrician, so I understand about grounding conductors and things like that. And at the end of the day, you're still electrifying the ground in a sense. It's dispersing it, but it still does have an effect. Now, at this magnitude, of course, it would have a severe effect, in a fiction version, as Elizabeth explains, on the wildlife and the earth itself, the people who live there. Now, remember, this is not Shaman King or Full Metal Alchemist or something like that, where the elements have not feelings, but they're respected in a sense and don't want to hurt them, Mother Earth sort of idea. We don't have that ingrained into our bodies through this series, but it's still something that of course, the fairies respect the forest, the giants respect the earth. It's still a part of their characters and their clan, so we can understand why they would not want to give damage to the earth, and this is what Deanne and Elizabeth explain, that this is not something we use lightly, but because this island, which was artificially made by magic, that makes sense, okay, floating island, blah, 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 Heaven's Theater, got it. Because of this, she's like, okay, well, I don't feel so bad in using it sort of idea. I don't think there's anything here that I can really harm. And though she does say, I could feel the tremor with that attack, this is not a weak attack. One more and this island will probably crumble away. And it does. And, Mal seems to be able to drop these love ball friggin' nuclear bomb destructions willy-nilly. Just willy-nilly. This Estimal seems to be able to do all this shit with no consequences. At first I thought we'd see the disappearing of his wings, as I said at the beginning of the video, but here it seems like he can just keep chucking them like they're, here, have a Snickers. No, have another Snickers, he's dropping them like Skittles Rainbow sort of idea here, and it's just like, oh, Jesus. Now, Deanne was correct. After taking another shot with Lightning Rod and such, the island does break apart and they all begin to fall. Now, even though they're falling, Elizabeth does manage to catch Deanne and stuff with her wings fully sprouted, that kind of idea. She manages to catch Deanne, and Deanne's only worried about King because Seal of Silence, he can't fly, sort of idea. And I'm sitting there like, okay, it would have been funny if his little wings had been flapping, sort of idea, but we don't get any comedic relief in this chapter. I believe it's a little too serious for that. Though most manga, most shonen still have some comedic effects even inside of serious moments and serious battles. Now, Hawk manages to transform into his flying demon manta ray form and catches King, so no big deal. Elizabeth also notices Derriere's body falling and just like has a moment of reflection about Derriere. King, on the other hand, he's a mess. He can't understand. He goes, no, I'm a worthless king. How could I have let any of this happen? He's remembering Oslo and Helbrum believing in him, and he's thinking he's a coward. Meliodas back in the day when they were, 10, 12 years ago, saying, you are a splendid king. He goes, I'm not. I'm a cowardly, worthless king. I can't protect anybody. Gloxinia, you overestimated me. I can't do this. And then remembers Deanne, saying, I love you and stuff. You love me too, right? Sort of idea. And of course, the love of a woman. See, the difference between this, I don't mind this. And most reviewers on YouTube will say they do not mind the Nakama power-up or the my loved one's in danger, I'm going to fight for her power-up. Most of us don't mind that. Fairy Tail nearly ruined it, but when it's done correctly, and when it's at a pinnacle point and not used for every single battle and not for every ass pull to make the main characters win, then it is effective. King has lost multiple battles, and King is still losing battles. This is his time. He's the first Fairy King is dead, believing in him that his power would be fantastic. Deanne, finally, their love story comes full circle, after a little lengthy time, but they come full circle and she believes in him and loves him and she's in danger. Oslo just sacrificed himself, once again, an Android 16, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan sort of thing going on there, though a little more companionship between King and Oslo, so that should make it even more impactful. Then, of course, still remembering Helbrum and all that stuff. See, once again, when it's done correctly, it is not a bad thing. Shonen drive themselves on this. Vegeta, Goku. I mean, when a lot of people saw the Dragon Ball Super episode where Goku Black, Zamos, whatever, admitted to killing the Chi-Chi and Goten of their universe and stuff, Goku lost his shit. And everybody was like, okay, yeah. Everyone thought it was a badass moment. Like, you just pissed off the most cheerful guy in the world, but you pissed him off. You're going to get your shit wrecked. And he did. Getting that power boost from Death in the Family sort of idea is not a bad way to write manga. It's simply done poorly. Nowadays, a lot of the time it's overused, shall we say. The oversaturation of it is what's causing it to have less effect. But here, where he's, as I said once again, he's going through Deanne, and Oslo, and Helbrum, and Gloxinia believing in him and everything. He finally, and Meliodas, and finally he just goes, nope, you know what, I promised Deanne, didn't I? I would be a king that could promise to protect everyone, I will save everyone. We see the seal slowly get almost scarred across, almost like it was being burned off or scarred across sort of idea, the seal of silence he had, and then at the end, it's like, what? Now, right before the end, we see that, Elizabeth is still carrying Deanne, and she's like, you're going to fall, don't worry about me. And then Estemal appears right behind Elizabeth. Deanne's like, watch out. And it's like, oh, damn. But of course, this is where King has now transformed. He's gone his Super Saiyan 2, and he's blasted Estemal into the dust and says, don't worry, you two, leave it to me, sort of idea. And he's all talking all badass, epic end to the chapter. And we get Elvis Presley, the King of Rock. Oh, okay. I'm I'm glad we get an adult version or a teenage version of Harlequin here, but I think they took the name King a little literal here because it's literally the King. The King is here. Now, when he starts belting out Can't Help Falling in Love with You to Deanne, that's when I'll draw the line. And I know that a lot of this is supposed to be the cool look, but this reverse pompadour or forward pompadour, whatever you call it thing, a lot of people are calling it the Elvis, you know. I would have been so cool with Super Saiyan hair. Like, a lot of people would have accepted that. This was so built up as Super Saiyan 2 Gohan versus Cell sort of idea here that I don't know what to think of this. For one thing, the wings are not what I expected. The wings should be way cooler than these. Like, he looks like a Butterfree. He's a Elvis Butterfree. And I'm not a huge fan of the design. I'm glad he's older. He looks older and such, and that's cool. And I'm glad that his wings are fully developed. But I feel like the wings could have been way cooler. Just like, now once again, this is only manga, black and white. You don't know. You know, Gloxinia's wings in the anime looked marvelously fantastic. But Gloxinia's wings in the manga when first revealed were fantastically drawn as well. These ones look lopsided and not so great. Now, once again, I can't show panels because I'm so worried about all these copyright strikes raining down on not just me losing my channel, but everybody. So I don't feel comfortable showcasing right yet. However, this is just like, I don't know. I'm excited, but I would have felt that if they had given him some spiky gold hair, it would have been way better. This, I don't know what it is. Like, it looks like Liz's hair, you know, from, you know, Meliodas Liz Danafor sort of idea. Like, what's going on here? They're taking the name King way too literally and inspiring way too much Elvis here. Now, if King starts singing and it beats up Estimel, I mean, I'm okay with it as long as they choose a couple of the greater hits by Elvis. Then I'm not so unhappy with it because Elvis is the king. He's the best. He's great. But I feel like this is a little misplaced. I think we were expecting something like, I can't take this anymore, sort of, shouting to the heavens and powering up and going all crazy Super Saiyan. I think we all expected that, and this transformation is very lackluster. The design of the wings I don't really care for. I like that he's older, but that's the only redeeming quality because his hairstyle is just... I mean, it might grow on me, maybe, but, and what can I talk about? Hairstyle? Not too much, but I don't know. What do you guys think about it? That's basically the end of the chapter, guys. The next chapter is going to be him versus... Now, a lot of people are talking in the forums about the power scaling here. The power scaling between King and, Gloxinia stated that at your level, the level he was just previously at, he was able to control the spirit spear as well as he was and draw as much power. So when your wings are fully grown, what will that mean? I can confidently say that King probably has a power level at this point of 100,000. Easy. He's got 100K. But does he have more than that? Hard to say. But if he doesn't, because we clearly know Estimel has over 200,000, he'd be no match. So is it going to be situational abilities that are going to help in this situation? Because it really begs the question. I don't want to look at this and start giving, like, when you think about it, Escanor at 11-something has 114,000. And you're going to give King the power of Escanor at almost noontime? I mean, I'm okay with it if it's around that number, but to double it, I'm a little bit against that, guys, because now we're starting to slowly take the OP-ness away from Escanor. Escanor has one major drawback, but he's still supposed to be the best. Giving King that amount of power, I mean, maybe he can't maintain it. Maybe he'll go back to his original form. I doubt that. I'd like to say that he's got 100,000 around there, between 90 and 110, somewhere in that ballpark. But it won't be the power level that'll make the difference. He'll be able to sustain enough damage on Estimel. Once again, my wing theory is that he'll eliminate another couple of the wings. Estimel is using too much of the commandant's abilities, and slowly he's going to deteriorate to the point that he's actually dropping in magical power. And then something else will happen. I don't think this is going to be a King versus Estimel fight with King coming out on top and nobody else intervening and Estimel defeated. I don't see that. I see an interruption, though. I don't see King having 200,000 in a match for Estimel here, but I see him being able to keep him distracted long enough, be able to do some serious damage, surprisingly, with all his new abilities of Spirit Form, Chastifold, and all those things. Because remember, very versatile. King's probably the most versatile ability character in the entire series. So he might be able to pull some quick stunts and stuff, really get on the bad side. And once again, wing theory going off with the whole Estimel will eventually lose steam. He was at 200,000 before. What's he at now after using up so many abilities? You can't just keep firing off nuclear bombs here. It's a golden Frieza thing all over again. Rushed in with the new form, used it up, eventually you run out of gas. Everything's got a limit. And Estimel is going to reach that limit in this battle with King. That being said, guys, this is the end of the review, end of the chapter. What did you guys all think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, it's always very much appreciated. As always, this has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for 7 Deadly Sins, chapter 280. We will see you back here next time, guys, for chapter 281. As always, drink responsibly. See you next time.